You may be wondering what happens to your super once you retire. Understanding your options is essential, from starting an income stream to making lump sum withdrawals or simply leaving it accumulating. The decision you make can significantly impact the outcome of your retirement. In this video, I'm going to break down everything you need to know about managing your super at retirement and explain why you should consider changing your investment strategy once you stop working. Hey there, I'm Chris Strano, Managing Partner of Toro Wealth, where we specialize in providing retirement planning advice for 50 to 70-year-olds. I'm also the founder of superguy.com.au. If you haven't already, make sure to check out my free 6-step super check, which contains more helpful super-related tips. I've put a link to this in the description below. And as always, this video is general advice only and does not constitute personal financial advice, so please read the disclaimer below. There's a lot of confusion around what happens to your superannuation in Australia once you retire. Should you tell your super fund you're retired? Will you need to withdraw your super? Are you required to start an income stream? Before we answer those questions, it's important to first understand how the term retirement is defined for superannuation purposes. Retirement for superannuation purposes is defined as either being age 60 or over and retired with no intention of ever working again on a full-time or part-time basis, or having an employment arrangement end after attaining age 60. If either of these definitions are met, then you are said to have satisfied the definition of retirement for superannuation purposes. So, assuming you're retired, what happens to your super? Well, once you have retired, nothing actually happens to your super accumulation account. If you haven't notified your super fund of your retirement, your super balance will simply remain invested in the accumulation account, and the only difference will be that your account will no longer be receiving employer contributions. Now, while nothing automatically changes with your super upon retirement, there is one important step you should do. Upon retirement, it's essential to notify your super fund of your retirement date. And the reason for this is because your superannuation balance is classified as preserved until retirement. This means you do not have full access to your super. But by notifying your super fund of your retirement, your super balance will convert from preserved to unrestricted non-preserved. Even if you don't plan on making any immediate withdrawals from your super account, you should still notify your super fund of your retirement as soon as possible. And if you have more than one super fund, you will need to notify each of them individually of your retirement. Once you've notified your superannuation fund of your retirement, you need to decide what to do with your super. So once you retire, you have three main options available to you. You can, 1, use your super to start an income stream, 2, leave your super in an accumulation account, or 3, withdraw your super as a lump sum. So let's take a look at each of these options, including why you might choose one option over another and the pros and cons. Beginning with using your super to start an income stream. The most common course of action for someone to take at retirement is to use their superannuation to start an income stream, particularly an account-based pension. An account-based pension provides you with regular income payments, which can be used to cover your retirement expenses. You can also make ad hoc lump sum withdrawals from the pension whenever you please. Your account-based pension balance is invested, continuing to earn returns while providing you with a steady monthly income. As an added benefit, once you commence an account-based pension, all investment earnings within the account are entirely tax-free. While many retirees choose an account-based pension, there is also the option to use super to start a lifetime annuity. Lifetime annuities provide a guaranteed income stream for the remainder of your life in exchange for a lump sum capital investment like your superannuation balance. Although annuities offer certain benefits, they are less popular due to their lower flexibility compared to an account-based pension. Since most retirees rely on their superannuation for regular income, starting an account-based pension is often a straightforward decision. However, once you begin, you must meet the minimum drawdown requirement each year. So if you don't necessarily need this income to support you in retirement, you might consider leaving some or all of your super as is in an accumulation account, which leads me onto your second option, leaving your super in accumulation. Prior to retirement, your superannuation is invested in an accumulation account. When you retire, there is no obligation to move your super out of this account. You can keep your superannuation in an accumulation account indefinitely. Your accumulation balance will continue to be invested according to your selected investment options, generating returns over time. Even without further contributions, the long-term investment returns should generally outweigh the associated fees. Furthermore, even if you do choose to leave your super in an accumulation account, you are welcome to make as many withdrawals as you like and as much as you like, provided you have met the definition of retirement and notified your super fund of this. The main drawback of leaving your super in an accumulation account compared to starting an income stream is that the investment earnings will be taxed at up to 15%, whereas they are tax-free when you commence an account-based pension. Also, you will need to manually submit an application for each withdrawal that you wish to make when you access your super, as opposed to receiving an automated monthly income payment when you begin an account-based pension. And finally, the third option with what you can do with your super at retirement is withdrawing your super as a lump sum in full. Once you retire, you have full access to your super balance, allowing you to withdraw some or all of it as a lump sum. This can be useful if you need it to pay off residual debt or make a significant purchase, such as a new car, caravan, or an overseas holiday. However, there are a couple of important factors to consider before making any lump sum withdrawals. First, the general strategy and what we typically recommend for our clients is to keep as much wealth as possible in the tax-effective superannuation environment, particularly once you've started an income stream where all investment earnings are received tax-free. Withdrawing a lump sum and holding the funds outside of super may reduce this tax efficiency. Secondly, once you have made a withdrawal from super, you might have trouble getting the funds back into super later if you change your mind due to the contribution caps and contribution age limits. Exploring your options with your superannuation at retirement allows you to understand the pros and cons of each choice. Whether you decide to start a pension, leave your funds in accumulation, or withdraw everything, each option has distinct advantages and considerations that should ultimately be aligned with your retirement goals and your objectives. Now that you know your options, there are some other aspects to consider when managing your super in retirement, such as your investment choices and potential Centrelink implications. So, should you change your investment strategy at retirement? Upon retirement, you will no longer receive regular contributions to your super account, which has important implications for your investment strategy. Without ongoing contributions and with the likelihood of making regular withdrawals from your super, it may be wise to consider a more conservative investment approach as you enter the retirement phase for the following reasons. Number one, reduced volatility. While you were working, market volatility was less of a concern because you weren't making withdrawals during downturns, and your regular contributions allowed you to purchase investments at lower prices. Therefore, you benefited regardless of whether markets were rising or falling. However, in retirement, regular withdrawals to cover expenses might force you to sell investments during market lows. Although a conservative investment strategy may yield lower long-term returns, it does help mitigate the impact of market fluctuations, reducing the risk of these peaks and troughs and how it might erode your retirement savings. And the second reason for a more conservative investment strategy is greater predictability. A more conservative portfolio has greater predictability of returns and less fluctuations. This makes the outcome of your retirement more certain and easier to plan, because a more conservative portfolio is less likely to have significant drops in value and less frequent years of negative returns. This makes the outcome of your retirement more certain and easier to plan, because a more conservative portfolio is less likely to have significant drops in value and less frequent years of negative returns. The risk of needing to sell investments during unfavorable market conditions is therefore minimized. For these reasons, many retirees choose to reduce the risk of their portfolios by increasing their allocation to defensive assets, such as cash and fixed interest, and decreasing their exposure to growth assets, such as shares and property. This doesn't necessarily mean eliminating growth assets entirely, but adjusting the balance to reflect a more cautious approach compared to your pre-retirement investment strategy. Apart from your investment choice, another very important consideration regarding your super and retirement is the impact on your current or potential Centrelink entitlements. The key rules to remember are 1. If you are 67 or older, your superannuation balance will be fully assessed under the Centrelink Assets Test and deemed under the Income Test, which will impact the level of age pension entitlements you are eligible for. And 2, if you are under 67, your superannuation accumulation balance is entirely exempt from Centrelink assessment in all cases. However, if you start an income stream before turning 67, the entire balance of that income stream will be assessed for Centrelink assets test and purposes and deemed for the income test. Therefore, if you're under age 67 and commence an income stream, you should be mindful of how this may affect any DVA payments or disability support payments received by you or your spouse, or any age pension payments being received by your spouse. With all of these considerations and decisions to make with your super at retirement, what should you do with your super at retirement? Well, most of the retirees that we work with typically use their super accumulation balance to start an income stream and make lump sum withdrawals to cover any one-off expenses. Many also switch to a more conservative investment option for a more predictable retirement outcome. In saying that, everyone's situation is unique. Your age, relationship status, assets inside and outside of super, and retirement income needs will all influence the best course of action for your super. Starting an income stream offers the advantage of regular tax-free income to cover retirement expenses, along with tax-free investment earnings on your account balance. The downside is that you are required to withdraw at least the minimum pension amount each year, and the balance is assessed for Centrelink purposes even if you're under age 67. On the other hand, keeping your funds in the accumulation phase means that the balance isn't assessed for Centrelink if you're under age 67, and there's no obligation to make withdrawals each year unless you need to. However, withdrawals aren't typically automated or regular, and investment earnings within an accumulation account are subject to tax. Ultimately, there's no single right or wrong approach to managing your super at retirement. It's about weighing up the benefits and considerations of each option based on your personal circumstances and goals. And if this is something that you would like help with, at Toro Wealth, we specialize solely in retirement planning advice. Our aim is to give you confidence around when you can retire, the retirement income that you can achieve, and how to optimize your financial position in the lead up to retirement. If you're interested in learning more about our service and cost, head over to torowealth.com.au. The link is in the description below this video.